Hi everyone, welcome to a special edition of Introducing Efficiency Through Automation. I'm Chris Ellis, the Director of Solution Engineering for Asia Pacific, and because it's that time of year, we're working with our very special customer all the way up in the North Pole. Now, after a recent TechWin request for solution engineering help, I did carry out a discovery and qualification session with the big boss. And one of the things that he told me was making a list, checking it twice, and finding out who's naughty or nice is a bit of a challenge for several billion people. Now, the way that he does things just now is quite archaic. Obviously, he has a little bit of help from his elves and his head elf, but being able to consolidate all of that data, reference it quickly, and make fast, efficient decisions is still very manual. Not to mention the fact that we all need to submit our letters manually, and it's a busy time of year for the Postal Service. It's now a little bit more expensive than it was last year. Mistakes can be made and costs can accumulate, especially when we're looking at the volumes that Santa Claus is looking at. So, had a discussion with him. We talked about how Nintex can help, and we're going to build a little demo out as a proof of concept with some of the new actions and some of the new features that we've released over the year. First thing first, we're going to look at the current state. We're going to produce a centralized searchable process that reflects what he currently does today. That allows us, when he's in areas of poor connectivity potentially, to maintain that business continuity, either using the mobile app, we know he does a lot of travel at this time of year, or if the power is out all the way up there in the North Pole. It's an audited, transparent ability to provide feedback as well. There's a lot of people around the workshop, they've got great ideas. Providing those over email aren't particularly transparent. It's very difficult to find that once they drop below the page break. So a centralized place where we can audit the feedback loop and hopefully identify abilities to make this process better is super important. That leads us to future state. We're going to look at things like a cycle cost variation if need be. Is this way of automating, is this addition of artificial intelligence going to provide a yield, going to provide a return on investment and a return on equity? And given that this process involves everyone in the world, several billion people, lots of manual references to naughty nice lists, making decisions, could look at a bit of cycle cost analysis as well as a future state, building that business case for automation. It's also an improvement in stakeholder engagement. We're in a digital age. Paper is my nemesis. It's probably the nemesis of others. So having to, I guess, put that letter in an envelope, pop it up the fireplace, send it out on the postal service. What if you miss the cutoff dates? What if you're in an area where the post box isn't close enough? So we're going to create a public-facing, any device, any connection form. We're going to style that up a little bit. I've been challenged to make it as festive as is humanly possible. We're going to use Nintex Data as a centralized data lookup and reference point for the naughty nice list. And then we're going to build a little workflow condition that makes a decision based on where you're at. We're going to use the new AI actions to extract information from a document or image, and I have handwritten my letter this year. Hopefully it gets to him. A little bit of multi-language support as well. Obviously, not everybody around the world speaks English as a first language, so we want to cater for that ability, not just in the form, but also in the AI actions to extract multi-language, and we'll get that instant outcome as well. So what efficiency are we introducing through automation? Well, no expensive mail or post, and if you don't have a fireplace, this is still applicable to yourself. It does eliminate that incorrect categorization from maybe making mistakes. Like if you've been really nice all year, you don't want that lump of coal, and vice versa. If you've been pretty naughty, you're gonna still end up with a gift, which is not how this process is supposed to work. We're going to use integrity of data as a centralized store on Nintex tables, and all tasks can be tracked and audited. So let's take a look. We'll jump in and build the demo. First things first, we are going to need a process. Now I'm going to use prompt to process here. So I'm going to quickly create a process in Nintex Process Manager. Clearly this is an operations-based process, so we're going to categorize that under crew operations. And we are going to use process to prompt here. So I'm going to copy and paste just a couple of little texts that I made earlier. The owner is obviously the big guy, but he does have an expert in the workshop who probably can help with this process a lot more. The objective here is pretty self-explanatory: accurate classification of individuals, and assigning gift packing tasks, and then the background of why this process is needed. Let's create that process and get into the different ways that we can quickly expedite the documentation of that process. If I've got a process model, if Santa Claus is all the way in his BPMN era, we can start from that model. We can obviously do this manually. This isn't a system-based process, so capture probably isn't going to help me here, but the ability to snap a screenshot of what you do within an application, turn that into text. We're going to go with start with AI here, and we're going to generate a draft. So it's taking the procedure name, the group that we're in, the goal of that process, and the background. It could even capture some owner and expert roles if we'd done that. We're going to generate a draft. Okay, we've got my activities, we've got my tasks, it's assigned my roles. If I had any systems, it would have referenced them as well. It's done a really good job of actually documenting the activities and tasks that this process goes to. Classifying individuals, I need to prepare the call for the naughty list, I need to assign gift packing tasks for the nice lists, and then we've got to review and adjust the process at the end. I'm pretty happy with this. Santa Claus being an executive, he doesn't really have time to learn a new application like Process Manager. He just wants to tell us what he wants to achieve. We're going to use AI to document that. Now I'm missing one little assigned here, so what I'm going to do is continue to edit this process, and I'm going to just make sure that the correct role is in there. This one is the head elf. We'll pop that in. That means that my map is actually going to look pretty effective. Everything else looks okay for now. I'm going to save this process, and now I have this referenceable, whether it's my first day, my 1000th day in the business, but now I'm able to see the steps that I go through in order to fulfill this process. If I needed to, I can start to add some of the process attributes, systems that might be used, cycle costs, getting all the way into my tagging. For me right now, really I want to focus on the efficiencies through automation, but this is absolutely nice to have here. So without further ado, let's jump in to Nintex Automation Cloud and build this automation out. So I'm in my canvas. The first thing ideally that I wanted to do is create a form. So I'm going to go to my start event. I'm going to choose my form. Now, because this form is going to be available to everybody in the world, it's got to be anyone with the URL. I can have this as authenticated if it was an internal task-based form, or if it was an internal kickoff form. I can have that authenticated for all of the elves on the North Pole domain, Mrs. Claus and the like, but I'm actually going to open this up publicly. Okay, so I've got my form canvas. I can obviously start this with a PDF. Santa Claus doesn't have one of those in play at the moment. And also, if I did want to, I could have it from my AI assistant to actually generate that form from prescriptive text that I provide, all the way up to styling and so on, rules and everything else that you're used to. Now, it's a pretty simple form, so I'm actually just going to drag and drop the controls in there. Sorry, AI assistant, off you pop. So the first thing I need is an email address, because we're in this digital era, so we're actually going to use email. Give this a title that I can then identify it later on. It is a required field because we need that email address, and if somebody forgets, let's pop in custom error message. Everything else is okay for now. We're going to do a little bit of jazzy festive CSS later on. And I need your Christmas list. So I'm going to use a file upload here. This is my Christmas letter. It is a required field. We've got our maximum file types, file sizes. Really shouldn't be too much bigger than this if it's just a simple list, although I know some of you do have quite a wish list for what you'd like. And we'll pop our required message. In fact, let's pop in an accepted file type because we can get handwritten here. If you want to snap a picture and pop it in, and we'll do a little description and a tooltip just to help really get to the crux of what we need in here. Alright, this looks good. Do I need any rules? Probably not. So we'll leave the rules out for now, but we could do things like upload rules or form rules if this then display that, locking things down, pre-filling, and so on. We're going to get into the style side. Primary colors, etc. we'll leave. Let's challenge this and make it pretty damn festive. I'm going to use some CSS in here that has been previously provided. Thanks to Barry for his festive CSS. And be prepared. This is kind of nasty. Okay, that is about as festive as it's going to get. So we're going to carry on and we'll apply those styles. Beautiful. Let's have a preview of what it looks like. If I don't provide my email, there we go. Because this is a global form, we are going to add another language to the form. So let's go to translate, my translation settings. I've already created a Portuguese Christmas list. So let's choose Portugal and let's then translate the form as best we can. Auto translate. Now obviously there are a number of languages available. Translation is done via AI. Translation is complete. Let's preview that form again. We've now got our translation option in there. Change it to Portuguese. There we go. So now our friends in Portugal can upload their Christmas lists without needing their English language degree. Alrighty, everything's good to go on the form front. Let's apply those changes. Pretty ugly. Alright, pretty festive. Okay, we need to add a few workflow actions. I'm going to go continue the build and I'll come back once it's complete. Okay, we've got my workflow. Let's just talk it through real quick. So we're grabbing an item from the collection. That collection is my Christmas letter file upload. So obviously you could have multiple of those as you upload them. If you need to, you'd obviously use a loop and you would extract each collection and you'd have each item from the collection, you'd have individuals. Just one letter this year. Thank you very much, everybody. But the main thing here is the extract information from a document or image. That is using that file upload, my information that I want to extract. So I've had to describe really the prompt that I'm going to use to extract that information. The output types available to you are text and or JSON. Extracting the JSON is going to allow me to split that up into the name of the person that has written the letter and the toys that they want or the gifts that they want for Christmas. Within my action set here, I'm just querying that JSON. I'm looping through it to extract into different variables the name and the gifts. I'm going to apply a regular expression just to take out some of the custom characters or the unique characters. And then I'm actually going to declare those variables in an email. So you get a thank you for raising or thank you for submitting your letter here. This is just that send an email action. We do have exchange online actions as well. If you wanted to send an email from an actual exchange mailbox. So I'm creating a table, Santa's list. The columns I'm really interested in are behavior and name. When the name equals the person, the result from that JSON. Let's have a look at that table actually. So here's my table. It's really just a list of names, a behavior, the ability to import from a CSV is what I've used here, and you can even keep appending to it if need be. But I've also created a table form that allows me to do that ad hoc. So we scroll down, we've got our naughty and our nice list that's been generated, and we've also got a processed column as well. So once that person's letter is out the way, it's going to change from a no to a yes. So I'm keeping that audit consistency, and then I'm going to look at that particular behavior. If they equal nice, then we're going to assign a task to the head elf to prepare the present and we're going to be using those variables of first name and presents or gifts to actually construct the task. We've got a bit of HTML in there to build the task, but if you're on the naughty list, I'm sorry, you're getting a lump of coal this year, and you will be notified. Finally, I'm going to update the row within the table to be processed yes. So we'll publish my form and we'll do a quick run through. I've got my email here so we can see when the emails come through as we raise them as this particular role, and let's open up my form. Remember, it's very festive. First thing we need is the name. It has to match what you've popped in your Christmas letter. If we wanted to do that in Portuguese, remember we've got my translation up there. Other languages are available. We're going to put in the email address that this has to go to. And we're going to drag in my first Santa letter. So here's my one, and it'll be able to differentiate. Let me just zoom out a little bit. So it's handwritten on my notepad, part of my left-hand scroll. Hi Santa, I hope this finds you well. I've been a good boy this year. For Christmas, I would like a Porsche 911 GT3 RS with Weissach pack, paint to sample in Brewster Green, carbon bucket seats, PCCB, and an extended race tech. Oh, and I need front lift kit. Best wishes, Chris. So what the AI action is going to do is it is going to extract the first name, and it is going to be able to identify the gift that I have requested. So let's close that and don't save. And we're going to drag that in. Submit. And then we've popped a redirect in here to the NORAD Santa Christmas tracker. Kicks off in 5 days and 7 hours. He'll be on his way. You'll be able to follow him around. So let's close that down, and we should start to hear some of those pings come through on the email. First one just came through. Hello Chris, thanks for sending me your Christmas wish list. Merry Christmas, Santa Claus. So the next one will be my naughty or nice condition. Now I've just used the same email address here. This has gone to the head elf. We'll need you to prepare the below presents for Chris as they'll be nice this year. Here is the ask. It's extracted just that. Hasn't extracted anything like hope this finds you well, I've been a good boy this year. It's literally copied the presents and the first name. So I'm going to reply as the head elf. I've gone and I've created that in the configurator. We've procured that present for Chris. He's been a good boy, and we can complete. Now in the back end, that's going to go into the table, and it is going to process. Being processed. Nicely done. Fully tracked, fully audited. So what about somebody who's not so nice? Now I have completed a letter, a handwritten letter as well for someone who wasn't so nice this year, and we're going to take a look at that one as well. So regardless of what they've asked for, it is going to take that condition and it's going to move that across. So I'm going to pop in the same email address again, SID. And this time, let's open up this list. And it could be a printed list or it could be handwritten. We know looking at the list that Sean has not been a particularly good boy this year, even though he says he has been very good. He would like a Nintendo Switch, Hot Wheels cars, a robot toy, lots of candies. Love, Sean. So we're going to drag this one in and we're going to submit. So hopefully this takes a look at the list, decides whether it's been naughty or nice, and it goes down a different conditional route. So we'll wait for that one to come in through email. We should get that first email through. Hello, Sean. Thank you for sending me your Christmas wish list. Merry Christmas. Sorry, Sean, you have been naughty this year. Let's open up that email, and poor Sean has a lump of coal. So that's how this year we've helped Santa digitally transform using our new AI actions, using Nintex tables as a centralized source of truth to create a conditional workflow. We're also updating that table. No third-party applications required, no external data storage. Everything's done within Nintex. We've mapped out my process. We could go even further by doing a future state. We could also go even further on the automation side by creating an application if we wanted that Nintex apps experience. So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching and also have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas.